Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 7th day of May here. Listen, folks, 30 minutes past the hour, we'll have Jeffrey Deskovic back on the program. Going to talk a little NBA playoffs. Big NBA fan there. Jeffrey Deskovic. Going to ask him about this Knicks team. Where does he see this team as we speak? And if this is the most likable group, that's my question to him. Plus, I've got some news I'll share with you about Jamal Murray. Looks like he's not going to be suspended. We'll talk about that, of course, with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Also, I'll talk about the Tom Brady roast. I woke up at like 3 o'clock this morning, 3:30. I couldn't sleep, so I watched a little bit of it last night. I finished it up today, got some notes about it. Wasn't all too bad. And more so, let's take our first and only break. There's a few other news and notes I want to go over. Then I'll be back here, 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. As of right now, folks, we are back live on Facebook. Now, I know we've had some problems here. I know my man Mac and Linda from the Northeast Streaming Sports, which, by the way, we're also live on Roku TV. Getting pretty close to normal here. I've got to set the Sports Scope page back up. I'm hesitant to do that. For one thing, I've been really busy. But for another thing, I want to make sure that this thing doesn't get disbanded or whatever. And we accidentally break one of their rules that they're very bad at getting back with people on, if you know what I mean. So, but right now, my personal page, I'm live here according to StreamYard. I mean, I'm live here on Facebook. So you got this Facebook page, Robert Butler, obviously my personal Facebook page. And then we've got the Sports Scope YouTube. And it says I'm live on Instagram, but I know I'm not live on all Instagrams, but we are live on the Roku NESSP app here. Okay. Back in the saddle again. That's right, Pickles. Good to see you. Okay. Now, this just broke about 1 hour ago, maybe not even an hour ago. Shams Charania from the Athletic reports the NBA has fined Jamal Murray. This is about what I thought. He's been fined $100,000 for throwing a heat pad and a towel on the court Monday night. And Shams did specify there's no suspension. I still think this series is probably over. If you look at the box score of this game, Murray is just not up to par, folks. I mean, he is Jamal Murray, 8 points. He did have 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 personal fouls, 3 for 18, not quite getting a lip. My guess is that calf injury is still bothering him. You know, I believe that calf injury is still bothering him. Do not want to take away from what Minnesota's doing, okay? Joker, 16 points, 16 rebounds. That's not enough. They lose by 26 points at home, down 0-2. Wolves played like a pack of wild wolves on the ball. No Rudy Gobert. They're go up 2-0. By the way, Gobert was out. I think he had a child last night, birth of a child. So he was out of the game. They still win. And today it was announced that Rudy Gobert has won his fourth. Yeah, I said that right. Defensive Player of the Year. If this were football, he would be the Chris Jones of this team. He would be he would be the defensive tackle there that gets to the football. He'd be their Aaron Donald. NBA players that have won the Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. Obviously, Dikembe Mutombo, former Denver Nugget. Ben Wallace, the champion there. I want to say back in, 04, that the Detroit Pistons won the NBA Finals there. I didn't know. I was a big Wallace fan. Ben Wallace, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. And Rudy Gobert has won his 4th today. Victor Wembanyama was being talked about as a potential Defensive Player of the Year all year long. He's very young. The sky's the limit for him. That is not an overstatement. He did win Rookie of the Year. I don't know why people wanted to put Chet Holmgren in that category. Holmgren got hurt his rookie year, okay? Holmgren is in his 2nd year, although he has had a great year with the Oklahoma City Thunder there, folks. So anyways, again, I believe that, as I said yesterday, so I woke up at like 3-something in the morning. So I'm watching this cheesy, which I'm going to give you a full review here in just a second. The Tom Brady Netflix roast. Talk about that in a little bit. But I saw that Minnesota wins this game by 26 points last night. And I had to get that cut from last night's program saying that, hey, listen, they're just running roughshod, folks. I mean, they are the Connecticut of the NBA playoffs. They are now 6-0 in the playoffs here. Defense is locked down. You've got guys like Naz Reid coming off the bench. You've got the depth here. And the fact they didn't win it without Naz Reid, or not without Rudy Gobert, maybe something will happen on the road for Denver. They're going to have to get a guy like an Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter. These guys are going to have to step up and play out of their mind to even make this a series. I do expect this team to be more physical, judging by the way Mike Malone was acting there. And they got a freebie there without getting a suspension there for Jamal Murray. But they're going to need some other players to come up out of nowhere and step up. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it'll be a sweep. I do think that they'll probably get a game or two, possibly tie this game up and go back to Denver here. But, hey, sometimes you just got to call them like you see them. Teams, it just comes together like that. At once, it's like the lightning in a bottle type of thing, and the light bulb goes off, you know. Everything I said yesterday seems to be coming just exactly into fruition. Once Anthony Edwards got his personal stuff behind him, they snapped out of that losing streak, on top of the fact that Karl Anthony Towns had a great night as well. You know, I want to look at his numbers, 27 and 12. So he stepped up where Rudy Gobert, and remember, he's coming off that meniscus tear back in March. So he's playing like a guy that is is fully healthy and possessed here. So kudos to them. You're not going to get this kind of opportunity all the time if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like I said yesterday, and I want to reiterate this today, okay? If I'm Mike Conley, the veteran leadership on that team, I tell a guy like Anthony Edwards, we're not pulling back here just because we're going to Minnesota. You want to sweep them if you're Minnesota. You don't want to pull back an inch. Don't assume you're going to be back. Don't assume you're going to be back. They didn't even make the play. I think they lost the play-in game last year because of injuries. So anything can happen. Anything can happen here. Don't assume you're going to be back. Don't assume you're going to win this thing, even though guys like me think you are. I've seen enough. You know, I read these news reporters offline, people that call these elections. We were in primary season, and so-and-so say, well, so-and-so is going to win. I've seen enough. 87% of the precincts are in. That's me right now looking at this Minnesota team, judging by the years of the veteran leadership and the talent, and you got it all balanced out here. That would be great for the league, though. Think about this. Over the past 5 years, folks, who would have thought if I would have told you in 2008, let's go back to 2000, let's go back 6 seasons, okay? Let's go back to 2018. What if I would have told you, sounds like a preview for one of those 30 for 30 movies, right? Pickles or documentaries. What if I would have told you that the Toronto Raptors were going to win in 2019, okay? A few years later, let's skip the Lakers here. The Milwaukee Bucks were going to win, okay? And just a few short years later, the Denver Nuggets were going to win. And now, this year, potentially, and they look like world beaters, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, small market after small market, teams that really look bad at times in the 90s. Now, I know Kevin Garnett and that group there had some good years with the Timberwolves. They just couldn't put it all together. And their best years there when Shaq and Kobe and that group of Phil Jackson were just rolling. They were just absolutely rolling. Now, I know you Utah Jazz fans, you want to say, hey, when's our time going to come? Jordan broke our heart back in the 90s, you know? But Doc Rivers says, or Pickle says, Doc Rivers nixed the Bucks and the Sixers. So, but the Bucks, they did win a championship, which I thought was pretty cool. And the Raptors, the Toronto Raptors, the Canadian team, okay. And then Denver did not think that was going to happen. And then, of course, now we have the potential for the Timberwolves. I didn't think Golden State would ever win. You know, Golden State was always decent, but not really great growing up in the 90s there. Although I know they had some really good Chris Mullin, those guys, Tim Hardaway. They've had their share of players, you know. But so it's a sign of parity. Now, when there was the next question will be, and I think it'll be okay, is the ratings going to tank? Because studies say that people like to watch potential dynasties and all that, and teams that are like big rivalries and all that, where one team wins another, like the Celtics, Lakers in the 80s, right? The Bulls dynasty there, the Lakers. I love to see the Lakers lose with the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. I hated that team, you know. That remains to be seen. I really didn't care for that Golden State Warrior team. I think my answer to that question as a basketball fan is that fans want to see really, really good rivals. Think about that little run there. It was a very short one between Garnett when he was with and Ray Allen, Paul Pierce with that Shaq and not Shaq, the Kobe and Paul Gasol, Bynum and that group there. That little back and forth between the Lakers. Remember, that was a 7-game series, I want to say, in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. 2008, where Boston won. Doc Rivers was that coach. And then a few years later, 7-game series. That was a good one, too. But it didn't end right because I lost a few dollars on that one. where the Lakers end up winning. Of course, the Lakers also won another championship with over the Orlando Magic, and you got this guy LeBron James at the time, and I fully endorsed it. Goes to Miami, and then you have that run there. So I think the answer to all that is we just want to see good rivals. So does Denver and Minnesota turn into a rival? Okay. Will there be other rivals pop up here? I think Dallas and the Clippers are somewhat of a rival. That's a pretty hard fought series. So the rivals that's a little strong right now. I know growing up, the Pacers and the Knicks were rivals, and maybe that'll turn into that Pacers Knicks part 2. So that's what I want. Really good basketball, good rivals, and let the chips fall where they may, where if one team wins 2 times in a row, or if it's back and forth here, you just want to see good competitive basketball, So Dallas, Pickles is saying Dallas is hanging in there. For the record, I haven't watched any of that game yet. I think Dallas is I think they win that series in probably 7 games. I know Oklahoma City is another young, up and coming team that is really doing well, but they are very young. You've got Luka, who's been in the league 5 years now? I want to say Luka Doncic, and not to mention 9-10 years for Kyrie Irving and that guy, that group there with Dallas. I think they'll beat Oklahoma City, but I do think that their defense isn't quite what it should be, but it is a lot better. And I do think their veteran experience will be able to overwhelm at the very end. That'd be a good series, though, at the very end to beat that Oklahoma City. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't go the other way. I would not be surprised if it didn't go the other way, because it is Dallas. They're just not quite. And I know Jason Kidd got an extension the other day. But anyways, don't want to get too far behind here. As far as the Knicks, 121-117 last night. The Villanova guys, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Jalen Brunson, 43 points, 24 Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, the 3 amigos here, Pickles. 43 for Brunson, Josh Hart, 24, 25 for DiVincenzo, who shot DiVincenzo 10 for 17, 5 from 9 from 3. That was a really exciting game here. This is probably going 6 or 7. That's going to be the first series and game I want to talk about with Jeffrey Deskovic when he comes on 30 minutes past the hour. I could see this going the other way. I mean, when you got guys like Siakam, Turner, I know Halliburton's really young. McConnell had a good game as well. A former Nick Toppin there coming off the bench with 12.6 rebounds. This is going to be a good series, a very good series, probably 7, but we shall see. But like I said, I'm giving the edge to the I know Paul Pierce picked Indiana, and the old adage is it's not a series until somebody wins a home game, right? Or wins a road game. So in that case, it looks like it's over for Minnesota, but we'll see. Or for Denver. Anyways. All righty then. So now we are up to par on the basketball stuff. Let me say this about this Netflix thing. Netflix. What does Pickle say? Brunson's trigger happy. Obertals is playing great. Yeah, Brunson. My only complaint about that, Pickles, is he's taking a lot of shots. When I just want to really pound him in the ground on that, he will pass off late in games. I do think he needs to create more opportunities for his teammates as we get deeper into these games and into the playoffs, and keep his usage rate down so he is not wearing himself down. Although I know that Tom Thibodeau is, this guy's playing about 39 to 45 minutes a night. So that's Thibodeau for you. And that Carlos does have a point there, but they are young. These guys have played together throughout Villanova. They're probably a player short, maybe two, of actually winning the whole thing. But they do have one thing, and that's team chemistry. They've got to be careful with whoever they put into that team coming up this free agency, this summertime, when they will have options there. And I'm telling you right now, like I've said the last 2 summers, do not get Donovan Mitchell. And I really wouldn't get Booker either, because I like the guard play that they've got as we speak, contrary to what others may say. Try to go after Giannis, folks. Try to go after Giannis. All right, now to this Netflix thing. As I said last night, I thought it was stupid. There were some funny moments in here. I've got a couple sound bites here. What's this guy's name? I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy. Andrew Schultz. He's pretty funny. That's a young comedian here. He's like 40, but he's young. I've never seen him before. I heard of him briefly. That guy is pretty funny. And this woman, Nikki Glazer, she's pretty funny. I've got one funny line from her. But I will say this: there was a lot of foulness, over the top, trying too hard because you are on Netflix. And I understand some other opinions of people that I respect. Your Clay Travis's, your Jason Whitlock. This is a big FU to the cancel culture of the world. You know, Netflix is 110% behind Dave Chappelle when he had his trans jokes and all that stuff. And I get that. These were, but jokes about suicide and Aaron Hernandez, even some jokes about this guy's ex-wife, I just didn't find it funny. So you might find that funny. And I like dark humor. I just mentioned dark humor yesterday. But some of this stuff, and the foul jokes, this Jeff Ross guy said some joke about, oh God, what was it? Some massage parlor thing and connected Tom Brady to Robert Kraft. That could have been funny if he twisted it around, but Brady said something to the guy. You know, Brady pulled a semi-Will Smith. We don't know if he's kidding around or not, but it looked like it ticked him off. But Belichick was pretty funny in this thing, Pickles. Belichick was there. Peyton Manning's always funny. Peyton Manning's got experience in this stuff. He's pretty good. You know, Gronk's trying to be funny. I think he's had quite a few because they were drinking on stage and whatnot. And but some of these other comedians, it's a lot of foul stuff there. Yes, Pickles, let me play some of this stuff here. This woman's pretty funny. She's pretty funny. Okay. Her name is Nikki Glazer on Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady talking about crypto money. Listen up. If I can find it. Here we go.
Also lost $30 million in crypto. Tom, how did you fall for that? I mean, even Gronk was like, me know that not real money.
I mean, the Gronk is stupid jokes just come flying in. You know, Bill Belichick, a lot more funnier than one would think. He had some good one-liners in there. I was surprised that Bill Belichick what was funny. But here's one from Bill Belichick. What did he say? Something about, I know people think I'm evil and talk about adopting a dog. It struck me as funny. Here's Bill Belichick on Sundays nights live roast here.
A lot of you don't know, but I really have a big heart. I really do. I rescued.
Now this roast was at it was at the old Forum where the Lakers played back in the day. not the new crypto place, the other one. And when, Belichick is so cold with the media and everything, and when he's trying to say, I'm really a good guy, people just kept laughing like, no, you're not a good guy. You're not a nice guy, but here it is. And the more they kept laughing, the more I'm describing his look, but he's about to bust out laughing while he's trying to tell this joke. It's funny.
A lot of you don't know, but I really have a big heart. I really do. I rescued. Oh, seriously.
Come on, man.
I rescued a dog from the shoulder, and I rescued Randy from the Raiders.
Said it. Rescued Randy Moss Pickles from the Raiders. And rescue he did. Randy Moss was really bummed out. As a fantasy player then, he was totally, and I mean totally checked out with the Raiders. I thought he was just washed up. But mentally, he was checked out. Bill Belichick, like he said, rescues Randy Moss from the Raiders, and they broke all them records and they didn't win a championship. And then Randy Moss was there, and everybody's clowning on Moss and talking about how country he is, being from I think he's from like West Virginia and everything, and talking about so now you can't have one of my rings. I know you want a ring. And, it's this Belichick and Brady are both clowning. The Moss sport had a good time. This thing was pretty good. Netflix is good. They're very good at production with this Netflix live thing. I mentioned Cat Williams last night or on Saturday night. He was live. He was off the hook. Very funny. This thing had some good moments. Had some bad comedians come in there, really foul jokes. Again, I'm not a fan of all those suicide jokes, and some stuff went a little too far with Giselle, the ex-wife, and everything. But other than that, as this thing went on, and you got guys like Belichick, you got Peyton Manning, and this Andrew Schultz, never heard of it. He is funny as all get out. Andrew Schultz was absolutely killing it. It was like it was a stand-up for him. And then Brady just said, bleep all y'all back to talking about me like that. Well, I said before, and Brady wasn't bad. I mean, he laughs at himself. He knows. He thought this stuff was funny too. But this is for comedians. This is for guys like Eddie Murphy, like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, and where a lot of these guys I learned this stuff from. Richard Pryor, who had one of the best ones ever. If you want to look that one up with, was it Paul Mooney was there, Pickles, Robin Williams. This is before my time, but I've seen that one, which is really good. It's for them. But, this was a bigger crowd. Netflix is really good. Going back to that, maybe they should get into live streaming sports. Because they did a really good job production-wise with this thing. And, we've got the Tyson fight coming up. They're 10 times better than Amazon is. You've got the Tyson, Jake Paul live event fight coming up July the 20th on a Saturday. I will be watching that thing. I don't care how late I have to stay up to watch that. I will be watching that Jake Paul Tyson event. Again, I would love to see Netflix get some of these events. I know Amazon's getting this NBA stuff. I'm really disappointed in that. Amazon's also got the some of the NFL stuff here for Thursday or whatever, and I think they're going to do some of the playoff games. Pickle says Cat Williams is polished. He's at the top of his game. Cat Williams had some really, really good material going back Saturday. Like it was a long time, Robin Williams and Dave Chappelle. That would have been guys like that, those high-end comedians. There's some youngcomers that are coming up. but those guys would have been really good. Maybe a Dana Carvey, somebody like that, who's really good with David Spade and their podcast. Most podcasts are terrible, even with the ones done with celebrities, but that the Fly on the Wall podcast is really good. Speaking of him, so should have Jeffrey Deskovic in here pretty soon. I hope he got my link there. Let's see. I got our questions here set up, and let's see if there he is. Man, this guy is just on the bullet line, right to the minute. But I haven't seen his face pop up yet. It looks like he's having some connection issues. He's trying to get his device connected. Listen, folks, Titan fans, I know that the Titans have signed Tyler Boyd. I will talk about that one in detail tomorrow. The Titans now have former Cincinnati Bengal Tyler Boyd there. Pickles $4.5 million there. He caught 69 balls. You talk about a quiet receiver here. 69 balls last year. Okay, when you're fighting with guys like Jamar Chase and, of course, T. Higgins. There's Jeffrey Deskovic. Let me go ahead and bring the man up here. Returning guest, loves to talk the NBA. And let me go ahead and, before I bring you in here, let me make sure and get your ticker there on at the bottom of the screen. Hey, Jeff, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing, Rob? It's been a while. I missed you.
Yeah, I just got back from out of town. I gotta let the audience know about that. Probably tomorrow. I was out in Tampa and stuff, and checking out some things in that area of Florida. Hey, listen, we are also on Roku TV under the NESSP app. So if I cut you off at 5 minutes to the hour, that means I don't want to bleed into the other hours, but I don't want you to plug anything you're working on. And let's not go over that time. Pickle says, welcome back, Jeffrey.
We'll be disciplined about it. And listen, great to see a familiar name on the screen. I see Pickles is one of your loyal followers is on.
Yes. I'm back on Facebook. I've got to work on my page too. If you put one little thing out of order, they'll disband the page. And my other page got hacked. But the page was hacked. And then if I had my old sign had the Facebook logo in the background. And then I got in trouble with Facebook for that, but they're not very good at communicating this stuff. It takes you a while to figure it out, but they don't, they're not very good at it. So go figure.
Listen, kind of like it's how some of these NBA playoffs series have gone.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
I got to ask you about that Knicks team. They're a great story with all those Villanova players. Me and you love the nostalgia eyes. Knicks, Pacers. Man, they look like 1995 out there the other day. Except it's a little quicker.
They really did. They really did. I have, what's interesting to me about that series, and this kind of like was emblematic of game one. And look, it's a long series as well. Winning the first game is always great. You want to get off to a good start, but that does by no means indicates that you're going to necessarily win the series. The Pacers actually have the better team as far as from top to bottom in the rotation.
It does seem that way, don't it, Jeffrey?
But on the other hand, the Knicks have players that are playing out of their mind. I mean, they clearly have the best player on the floor.
Yes.
Jalen Brunson is head and shoulders above, above the other players. And, Josh Hart just playing out of his mind. The New York starters just completely outplaying the Indiana starters. But at the same time, I remember at one point there was the 46 points off the Pacer bench to 3 on the Knicks. Ooh. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do believe the Knicks are going to win that series, but still, I mean, it's crazy how that could be sustainable. I mean, is that disheartening for Indiana? I mean, you played so well as a unit. Your bench played incredible, totally not intimidated by the Mecca known as Madison Square Garden, and yet coming up short in the last crucial 3 minutes. When they had the 5 or 6 point lead.
Yeah.
But it did remind me of a lot of those, Nick Patrick Ewing versus Reggie Miller.
Man.
Yeah, it
Mark Jackson.
had that feel to it for sure.
So. Do you think that Brunson should be mentioned in the MVP talk?
100%. Yes, I feel like he's totally been discounted. I think prior to the playoffs, but I don't. I think that they're basing a lot of that on the regular season, and I don't think he had the attention really at that point. I mean, I think he kind of that comment. You can't have he can be a 1A. He can't be your 1 because he's below a certain height. I actually think that turned out to work out well for the Knicks. I think it lit a fire under him, and he's just been playing out of his mind.
Man,
completely. And the best thing about all this is, in the offseason, I mean, the Knicks are going to have salary cap room. They're going to be able to add.
I was going to ask you.
They're going to be able to add an all-star, caliber player. I mean, could you imagine, Rob? Could you imagine if Kevin Durant somehow came to the Knicks, or LeBron James, or any, I mean, that would be amazing. But any star player, really. I mean, pairing that with the team, I actually feel like they, in a way, they play better. They play better without. Who
would you prefer? I'd maybe go after Giannis.
Oh, if you could get Giannis, then no, Giannis is actually preferable, really, to both of them. Clearly preferable to LeBron James insofar as looking at a longevity point of view. I mean, Giannis has a lot of career left in front of him. LeBron James, as he himself was quoted as saying, I don't have too many years left. So you could get Giannis. If you could get Giannis, you could do that. And like I said, I mean, the Knicks have Julius Randle, to trade. He's an all-star caliber player, so he could be one of the pieces in a trade like that. But look, I like the Knicks in that series. Look, before the tip-off starts, making sure I get this in.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I like Dallas. I like Dallas to win the series over OKC.
How many games, Jeffrey?
6 in 16.
I think this is going to be hard fought.
So you know what the series reminds me of? So you got the young upstarts that had the better record, but then you got this other team that has they have more veterans. This and really it in a way it's kind of 2 stars against 1. I mean, they got Gilgeous Alexander versus Luka, but at times Kyrie Irving has played even better than Luka has.
Man, hasn't he?
Yeah, so this series, I believe, will remind me of last year's 7-2 matchup in which the Golden State Warriors were able to defeat the number 2 Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
It was the young Bucks that did incredibly well in the regular season, but going against
7 games though. Yeah.
Yes, it did. No, and Sacramento did very well, but my point is just that the Kings were the 2 seed. And you would think inevitably.
Yeah, OKC's the 1 seed. Yeah, that's a very good analogy there. The experience going to win out. I got to ask you about this game last night. Yes. I think I said this before the game started last night. I think Minnesota, there should be the favorites to win the whole thing. I mean, they really look good. And what? They got a lot of veterans around Anthony Edwards.
Yes.
What do you think about Minnesota's resurgence?
Yeah, I think. Look, you have to consider them to be the favorites to win the championship.
Okay.
And really, because look, they remind me of the Detroit Piston team that upset the Lakers. They had the 4 stars, Karl Malone and Gary Payton with Shaq and Kobe, and Detroit. That Detroit team, just stalwarts on defense. I mean, their defense is just so head and shoulders just above everybody's. I mean, they just completely dominated the Nuggets. I mean, they made them look horrible.
They look so much more athletic, don't they, Jeffrey?
They are very much more athletic. They got the long arms. They're really fast. They got all this energy. they're playing so much better defense than anybody else. I mean, I did think that Minnesota was going to beat Denver. I do think that, I do think that they are going to go to the finals. I think that they're favored to win the championship. And look, you heard it here first, okay? I think it's going to be the Knicks and Minnesota in the finals.
Wow, you think the Knicks are going to knock out Boston?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I do like them in an
I'll
upset.
clip that if it comes through. I will clip this for you, man.
Please do, yeah. But imagine Brunson and Anthony Edwards. Battle of the stars going on.
Yes.
Over there. Boston, on the other hand, although this game is in the third quarter now, but Cleveland just completely overmatched. I would be surprised if they won one game. Boston,
they'll find a way to throw a game away. They always do.
Yeah, they do. Well, that's true. That's true. But who else always manages to do something? I don't understand this, right? Donovan Mitchell, he's always putting up tremendous numbers in a losing effort.
Yeah.
It's always in a losing effort. 30 points, 40 points, 50 points. And they still managed to lose the damn game. I mean, it was like that.
That is true,
he was
man.
It was like
that's why I
that
didn't want the Knicks
Utah.
to get him. He'll mess up their chemistry.
Right.
Jack.
Do you remember when he was with Utah and they were getting beat? They got beat one year by the Clippers.
Yes.
When he played out.
We all thought they would beat the Clippers. That I remember. I thought they were the better team, but not so much.
I thought that they were the better team. Yeah, but now, I mean, looking back, I mean, the Clippers are too. Yeah, they got the 4 stars there, but they're too old.
Now to get
that
those
was really
out.
honestly, it was better to have 2 stars, Kyrie and Luka. Young in their prime, at least Luka in the prime, but Kyrie with still a lot of good years left in them before he starts to decline. I mean, just completely overwhelming. Harden, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
I'm not going to include Kawhi Leonard in that because he didn't even get on the damn floor.
Man. Yeah.
He's hurt. I mean, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
what a disaster he's been, right?
Every year this dude is hurt in the damn playoffs. Every year.
He gets hurt every single year, and he's Jason McIntyre, Fox Sports calls them the paper clips.
Yeah, well, I think with some good reason.
I just don't know why they want to keep those guys. I would break them up. And you mentioned Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I was pounding the Suns, but maybe simply Minnesota was just that good. I wanted to break up the Suns after they got swept by Minnesota. But I was hearing they may fire their coach. I got to ask you, quick, Darvin Ham. What do you think about Lakers firing Darvin Ham like that?
I do agree with it because if you're looking back at that series, I know it's crazy to say, okay, because it was the 2-7 matchup, but considering that the Lakers led all the
chunks of those games, like
75% of the time. And how do you cough up a 20-point lead in game 2? You're fighting for your playoff life in game 5. You give up a 14-2 run.
Yes.
You keep honestly, they should have won that series. And here's why I think Ham should have been fired. Okay, because he didn't make any adjustments in the game. So what was happening there when the Denver was able to put the clamps on defensively, it was because they went to a zone, and every time any Laker would get around their person, come into the middle, they suddenly would be flanked by 3 defenders, including a big guy in the middle, and they just couldn't solve it. But I mean, that's not that hard to solve. When you get around your man, don't keep dribbling into the damn teeth of the defense. Why don't you pull up? Why don't you pull up off the dribble, a short range jumper? A quarter, 2 quarters, 2 quarters of the way there. Then you totally get. But he couldn't adjust. He didn't call. He couldn't call a timeout and figure out how the hell to score against the zone. I mean, don't you think, especially looking at how Minnesota's just taking Denver apart? I mean, not that the Lakers have the horses that Minnesota does. They don't. But still, don't you think that, I mean, just even looking ahead, that was a series that they really could have brought down the house. They really could have pulled off the upset. What do you?
Yeah, it did. I just think that they played like 10 or 11 games straight, and I think the Lakers got one win out of there. It just seems like the Lakers run out of gas, and Denver's just a younger team, and they just go right ahead. And I do like the fact they paid attention to defense more under Darvin Ham.
Yeah, they did. But look, I think at some point though, LeBron James just was too frustrated. He stopped believing in the coach. You know, you saw that.
It'll be his fourth coach with the Lakers, Jeffrey.
Yeah, he's a coach. He is a coach killer. He is a coach killer. He's definitely a coach killer. But at the same time, I mean, he's definitely a top 3, top 2 player in the league. So, I mean, don't you have to side with him versus any coach?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just LeBron. I didn't think it's a Jenny Buss leadership issue. She's hiring Kobe Bryant's former manager or former agent to make her general manager. They a week ago, Jeffrey, they said, "Oh, Darvin Ham's okay." Then they fired Darvin Ham. It's like Jenny Buss just like, "How do I feel today, girl?" Talking to her girl. She kind of reminds me of my sister a little bit. How do I feel today? Crystal, if you're watching, you know what? I got a sense. I heard the other day that she's she's actually the poorest owner in the NBA. She's still paying off their former coach here, who's the coach now of Phoenix here. And now she's going to be paying off Darvin Ham. Do you think maybe she might sell the team? It seems like she's really disorganized.
She is. I think she needs a better team around her. But, I mean, it's an NBA franchise. I mean, who doesn't want to hold on to that as an investment?
It's in a gold mine, isn't it? It's like the Yankees of baseball.
Yeah.
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
It really is. It is. I mean, going back to Phoenix for a second, Phoenix needs to get bigger physically. It's not a good idea to play Durant at the 4. He's really a 3. He's too light in the pants to play the 4. He's
That's
not
true,
big enough. He's not strong enough.
They miss DeAndre Ayton, don't they, Jeffrey?
They really do miss DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, and I consider the Bradley Beal trade to be to have not worked out for sure. And speaking of trades and Bradley Beal, I mean, I don't even remember what the heck. Looking back at the season being over, I mean, boy, did Golden State get robbed. They didn't get back at all. I wanted to get rid of Jordan Poole, but not for. Well, let me keep my language clean.
Please.
Not for old Chris Paul. Okay, not for old Chris. He's done. In my opinion, Chris Paul, he was barely even getting on the floor anymore at the end. It reminds me.
I'm surprised that Golden State won a few years ago. When they did, they should have. I think that's why Bob Meyer left. He knew deep down he had to break. Those guys are getting too old, man.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I do. Listen, what would be a wonderful storyline, which might happen? What if Kevin Durant goes back to the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah,
I mean, I could see. Listen, well, you could, if they got Kevin Durant, then I mean, I think they would. They could possibly get 1, maybe 2 more championships.
Well, they would be in line. They have to get younger elsewhere. I'd move off Draymond. I said this last year. If you remember, me and you talked about this. I thought they should have went after Dylan Brooks and moved off of Draymond Green. Brooks is a younger 27 versus 34. That's a big difference in the NBA.
Yeah, no, that is a really big. That definitely
he was pretty good with the Houston there. And I think he would have played that role really well. He showed his butt this year, and he got suspended a few times. Draymond Green here. I think it's done for them. I'd blow them up too and trade even maybe even move off Steph Curry and trade him to a contender elsewhere, and same thing with Phoenix, but that owner doesn't want to do it. That owner's a young guy. He's inherited the team. His dad was a billionaire. He's going to try to make it work in Phoenix, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a disaster. Like you said, I don't think those pieces work together. They got to get bigger.
Right. So
Nurk is no good underneath the basket, Jeffrey.
Right. So Golden State either has to bring Durant back, or else the other
that would help Golden State,
or go on the other, which they could do I would trade Wiggins and Moses Moody. By the way, I would.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. Wiggins got a head problem, Jeffrey. He's falling off the. He's not that old.
Yeah, he keeps having personal problems. I mean, that after he had the one breakout season, they gave him the $90 million, and now he's got to keep on. Listen, for $90 million, or even a hell of a lot less than that, Rob, I'd keep it together. I keep my problems in my personal life, and I show up on the court and show out, play as hard as I play as hard as I could. LeBron may leave. The Lakers. I think he is determined, to play the 1 year with his son.
Okay,
it's kind of unique what he's doing. Most people think that LeBron's son is not NBA talent, but I think you kind of do an Antetokounmpo. I can't and help me with Giannis.
Giannis.
Well, Giannis has what? Two? Was it? He has another brother on his team that.
Yeah.
He never sees the damn floor. He never plays at all.
Oh yeah. They got the 55th pick. I mean, they'll probably pick Bronny, like you said. They'll probably pick him up.
But somebody would pick him up specifically for the purpose of landing LeBron. That's what I think that's about.
Yeah.
But you're looking ahead. I think that the in the off season, no matter how the playoffs turns out, the Knicks definitely need a bench though. They gotta get a bench with them, and but as the playoffs have gone, really they've been really interesting, really exciting, and
Minnesota. How big a star can Anthony Edwards be, man?
I think he could be the best player in the league.
Okay.
I think
that's what I'm thinking too.
I think he's a top 5 player now. Pickles makes the point. The old legs. I assume he's talking about the Lakers.
Lakers and Phoenix.
Showing up in the fourth.
Golden State.
Showing up in the Golden State too. Those are all Klay Thompson. Clearly,
a shell of himself, man. So I'm like you. I think if Edwards could keep his head straight and they keep Towns around, because remember everybody thought he was there to compliment Towns. No, Towns is there to compliment him. This guy's a bigger star. Very Michael Jordan-like. He don't like to be called that. By the way, Rudy, you made a good observation earlier. Rudy Gobert, by the way, his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award. You mentioned that Detroit Piston teams. Ben Wallace, one of the other few players to win 4-time Defensive Player of the Year awards with the Dikembe Mutombo, former Denver Nugget there. So good observation there. I wanted to tell you that news. That just broke about an hour ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
This is their time. Isn't that awesome? Minnesota could possibly win. Denver wins last year. 30 years ago, me and you would have never thought that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen,
Toronto's won in the last 5 years.
Minnesota was always getting knocked out forever in the first round. Every year they got knocked out, except the 1 year they went to the finals. That was with Sam Cassell and Kevin Garnett. So sticking to the schedule, doing my 1-minute plug.
Yes, of course.
Just had the gala, my foundation, which of course frees innocent people and pursues policy changes. We just had our first gala. At the end of our fundraising gala, one of the advisors and donors stood up and made a surprise announcement. He said that by the end of May, he would do a matching gifts fund. He would give us $5,000 in matching gifts if we could raise $5,000, and then he would do the same thing in June. Nice. So look, the website is on the bottom there. People can use PayPal. listen, 5, 10, 20, 100, whatever you guys can do, 100% of the money goes towards freeing people that are in prison for crimes that they didn't commit. I'm hoping to maximize this really generous and unexpected offer because, look, we want to be able to free even more people, and we're at our capacity now as currently constructed. We need to add a player. We need to add a player or two, Rob, to keep the sports analogy going.
Yes, of course. Of course. Hey, whenever you write that book and that movie comes out, I want to part as a sports guy in there, Jeffrey.
100%. I'll see you in the conference finals before they tip off, hopefully. Okay, Rob?
Yeah. If you want to come, you come back on. Just give me a heads up and I'll bring you on. And if you have any comments about the Giants or whatever, whatever happens. I know Daniel Jones is still the quarterback, but you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll talk. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Hey, have a good night. Appreciate it, Jeffrey.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy. All right, everybody. Again, I'll be back on tomorrow. There's a few other stories I just didn't get to. Okay. Tennessee, Kentucky. Talk about this Kentucky Derby thing tomorrow, where Tennessee, people that live in Tennessee cannot wager on the Kentucky Derby. FanDuel app has where you can bet on the Kentucky Derby, but you still, Pickles, cannot bet in Tennessee. Talk a little bit about that story tomorrow. Maybe I'll get into my trip to Tampa. Talk a little bit about that as well. Got plenty of other things coming about. I'll talk about that Titans story. They signed Tyler Boyd. So they've a lot of people really giving the Tennessee Titans love on the internet here. So got a lot of stuff I want to get to tomorrow. We're on time here. Good job, Jeffrey. Again, thank you, Pickles. Hey, if you like the show, please share the show. We are live here back on Facebook at The Current Moment. All right. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place here on Sports.